Okay, good. Go ahead, Ami.
Section 94. 14 classes of jivas. Sri Vashishta said, O Rama, caught in the illusion of the world process, consisting of the three gunas, these jivas, individual souls, can be broadly divided into 14 classes. Idam pratamta, those souls who have entered into human embodiment for the last time because they have attained purity of mind and have unfolded that intuitional reason that reveals the nature of the self. They are called by this name. They will not be born after their death. Guna Pivari, those who lack dispassion and therefore cannot follow the path of nivrutti, renunciation of the ego. Instead of attaining liberation, they are led to heavenly worlds, so they enjoy the fruits of their meritorious deeds. They will attain liberation in 10 or 15 births. They have many good qualities such as serenity, self control, and others in varying degrees. Sattva. Those who continue to discover increasing sattva through experience of pleasure and pain, they will attain liberation in 100 births. These souls are on the way to progressive evolution. They are not as advanced as those of the first type who are established in renunciation, nor are they as advanced as those of the second type of who are devoted to the performance of good action and devout meditation. However, they are gradually spiraling their way to liberation.
Want to comment?
Okay, here, Sri Vasista says to Rama about the the three gunas, but they're explained in 14 jivas. Individual souls can be broadly divided into 14 classes. The first one is idam pratata. Those souls who have entered into human embodiment for the last time, when they have completed, they have enlightened, and this will be their last work. And then Guna Pivari, second one is that people who have not followed the nivrutti, renunciation of the ego. So those are the ones they will they take longer time, like 10 or 15 births. They have many good qualities such as serenity, self-control and all, but still they have to improve themselves. Sattva is this is the last one, but not the last one. This is the third one. They will attain liberation in 100 births because they are not refined or they are not about their ego and all those things. It's very difficult. So they are gradually spiraling their way to liberation. It's not easy, how difficult it is to get the enlightenment. Hari Om.
Good. You can see the, the number one is they have become the nirguna, beyond even the sattva. And the second one is very high level of sattva, but because of the sattva, they are attached to the sattva, and they will be reborn again and again for before they attain liberation. And the next one is pure sattva, but still range of rajas is there, and which they have to exhaust, and so they might take even as much as 100 births before they realize. So you can say that we are talking of the people at lower and lower levels of the spiritual evolution in here. So after Ratnam, Sarveshji is here.
Yes.
You want to read, sir, next three paragraphs?
Number 4. Hari Om.
Hari Om, sir.
Adham Sattva, Sattva in the lowest stage. Those whose minds are colored by numerous complexes and desires and continue to perform various evil deeds. The potential for sattva in them continues to be hidden under the load of numerous karmas and desires. Number 5, Atyanta Tamas, sattva overpowered by extreme tamas. When sattva seems to be completely overpowered by evil impressions of tamas generated by the mind, the jivas continue to wander in the world process through countless embodiments. Rajasic, filled with rajas. Those who have ascended from subhuman levels to the human level, they will continue to evolve, performing good and evil deeds. After death, they go to heaven or hell. They continue to wander without attaining liberation.
Comment?
There's here just giving a gradation of these different gunas. Actually, we look at going up, but this one is coming down from sattvic down to tamas. So when we started, it was sattva in the lowest stage, and with the numerous complexes and desires. And then the next stage, atyanta tamas, is sattva overpowered by the tamas, when jivas continue to wander in the world process. And the last one was the rajasi, filled with rajas. And these they say that they have ascended from subhuman levels. So that means he is talking about animals, I'm guessing, to the human level. They will continue to evolve, performing good and evil deeds. So after death, they will go to either heaven or hell, depending on their karmas and vasanas.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you. So you can see how Adam Sattva is the lowest level of the Sattva. There's still some Sattva, but overpowered by Tamas. But number 5 is the Atyanta Tamas. And then he comes to the Rajasi. So I can see even 5 is superior to number 6 because there's some amount of Sattva still there. But in Rajasi, it looks like Sattva is so little, and then say they wander in the world, life after life, life after life, for not attaining liberation. It says that's the one thing that's hard for me to understand. Uh, According to Dvaita philosophy, all the jivas ultimately they attain liberation. And so, are there jivas who continue to be born again and again and again and will never attaining liberation? That is actually Dvaita philosophy. In Dvaita philosophy, there is a category of jivas that continue to be born and die in various levels without ever attaining moksha. And so, I don't know. So, I thought I would just bring it up. If anybody else knows a little more, they can talk about it. And Shobnama here today? No? Okay. Sudhir.
I'm here, Raghuji. I'm here, Raghuji.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
I can hear. Number 7. Rajas Sattviki. Rajas blended with Sattva. Those who have developed dispassion towards the pleasures of the world and will attain liberation after death. The Rajas is completely dominated by Sattva. So, though, however, reading this, Raghuji, I don't feel that this is going down. I think the order is probably not appropriate.
Right.
That's my
Yeah.
understanding.
Right. It
Mhm.
went all the way down up till
Yeah.
6, and then we are talking of the mixed kinds. Correct.
Yeah. Rajas, Rajasi. Rajas blended with Rajas. Those who lack dispassion, they are led to be born as yakshas or gandharvas, different types of celestial beings, and through a gradual process of evolution become fit for liberation. Rajas Tamasi. Rajas tending to tamas. Those in whom Rajas is overpowered by tamas. They perform actions, sacrifices, or other modes of worship that are tamasic. As a result of the work and workships, they continue to place themselves in Rajasic and Tamasic atmosphere. Therefore, they can attain liberation only in thousands of births.
Yeah.
So, three more have been described here. Rajas Satviki, where here in this case the Rajas is blended with Sattva, and and they have developed dispassion, and they will attain liberation. It says after death, and
That's
and the Rajas in them is completely dominated by Sattva. So the next one is Rajas Rajasi, where Rajas blends with Rajas. So here they lack dispassion, and they will be born as Gandharvas or Yakshas in the next birth, and they take slow process to evolve spiritually and finally attain liberation.
Yeah.
And the third one is Rajas Tamasi. Here it's Rajas tending to Tamas. In this, here the Rajas is overpowered by Tamas, and they perform all the actions of sacrifices, etc., but they are all tamasic. As a result, they continue to place themselves only into Rajas and Tamas modes, and therefore they can attain liberation only after many thousands of births.
right. Yeah. Actually, number 7 is almost like number 1.
Yeah.
But they are going to attain liberation in this life.
Mm.
And number 8
Eight.
is almost like the number 2. They attain liberation in the 10 to 15 births. But here we're talking of they go through the other various lokas like yakshas and gandharvas and all that to enjoy the pleasures there and then gradually attain liberation. So, very
I
good.
think what I feel like is it is according to first he took the sattva and divided into three, and then he took the other one, the rajas, and
Right.
put it into three different categories.
Right.
And now he is going to come to rajas, atyanta tamas.
Right.
Yeah, tamas is come. That way he is here, whoever wrote, dividing rather than either going up or down.
Right.
They taking each one and dividing.
Good. Thank you for the right observation, Amma. Thank you. And Sudhirji.
Rajas Atyand Tamas. Rajas deeply involved in tamas. It is doubtful whether these can attain liberation even in many thousands of births. Tamasi, the souls enveloped in tamas who will not attain liberation in the present kalpa age are known as tamasi jivas. Tamas sattva, tamas tending to sattva. Those who are born in tamasic classes such as demons, rakshasas and pishachas, some develop sattva. For example, Prahlada and Karkati. Therefore, they attain liberation even in their demonic bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is actually in the next step. Okay, one more. I think it is not three. I think four or five. Four of different kind of rajas, and the fourth one is actually rajas involved in tamas. I mean, it is going towards, maybe we can actually consider as a cruel king or something. So it says that they are actually never going to get liberation for thousands of birth. And the next one is Tabasi. And during, people who has got developed this tamasic character, they will never get a liberation in this yuga, or maybe in this kalpa yuga. And the third one is tamas sattva. This one is actually born with the tamasic classes, and maybe with as an example of Prahlada and Karkati. And they are actually in association with the good, and they probably will tend towards liberation. They also attain liberation, even though they actually born in the demonic bodies. This is but there is a condition, right? There has to be some kind of for that also. Even say Prahlada's case was actually probably he was then something good, so that is why in the past that's the reason probably he actually tend towards that, right, for Sattva.
Yeah. So even in the being born tamasic, there's a good chance of you attaining liberation. And so there's
I,
hope for all the gunas, the tamasic, rajasic, and sattva, depending upon the other factors, I guess. So,
But in there,
Raghuji, can I say?
sorry, go ahead.
Can I say something?
yes,
Yesterday we read that even Prahlada being in demonic family, but he came across of Naradji and getting, bhakti from him or
yeah,
involving with him, he became,
right.
bhakta
The
and
benefit of the satsang.
satsang, right?
Right, correct.
Very well.
But then that because he born in demon, that these are all characters or vasanas, right, Raghuji? Tamas is a vasanas, right? So because we cannot really assume that because he born as a demon, we cannot put that in that category, correct?
Correct. Correct. You cannot generalize and say if you are a demon, you are bad. Actually, if you read Mahabharata, when the Pandavas were in the forest, they go to the base of the Himalayas. There, the Kubera, he's a yaksha, was there, and yakshas and rakshasas were all living together. And all the Rakshasa were supposed to have helped the Pandavas during their stay in that Himalayas. And so you cannot say all the people in the demonic category are 100% bad. Only thing you can say is they are more materially oriented, not necessarily because completely tamasic.
So, Raghuji, the association also has a lot of effect on it. You can be born in a very good family and association is bad, then you are going downhill.
Yes, yeah, 100% right.
Vice versa.
Yeah, correct,
So,
correct. That's why
Yeah, also I wanted to say about Brahma, Ravana. He was a demon, but he was Ravana Brahma. He was the grandson of Brahma.
Not only that,
he was a great
devotee of Shiva.
Greatest devotee of Shiva.
right.
So it's very hard to classify that way.
And Vibhishana, being in the same family, we know that Vibhishana came to Rama and he was a Rama Bhakta.
So that's why
That was a good example Sarveshan Manu Naidu is giving, Raghuji. I was about to say the same thing. What I was told, I read somewhere, is all three of them, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and Vibhishana, born to a Brahmin father, and the Rakshasa or whatever is mother. But and they did develop different things. Starting in Satvik, they developed different things. Like one of them is Ravana is Rajasic, and the Kumbhakarna is Tamasic, and Vibhishana is Satvik, and reached different places.
Yeah. Only thing is, I don't know if probably Geeta might not be able to answer. Ravana and Kumbhakarna were said to be Jaya and Vijaya because
Yeah.
curse they took them. But I don't know about Vibhishana. How did where the Vibhishana fits in there?
I don't.
So, and so that is the thing. There's so many factors involved, and the Jaya and Vijaya, because of the curse, and they choose to be born as enemies of the Bhagavan, so that they could take only three births and get back to their and finish their curse and get back to what do you call Vaikuntha. And so the way I look at it, they really had no choice. They had to behave like demons, and they had to behave bad, and they had to be killed by Bhagavan himself to get back to their Vaikuntha.
So they merged with Rama because they were killed by Ramabana, by Rama himself. So
Yeah, when we just look at the Rakshasas, it is the symbolic meaning. Actually, I read it in saying that it is the inner demons of a man, and it is like desires, anger, all the ignorance of a person, and it actually obstruct because normally Rakshasas actually, you can see all the Rakshasas actually trying to fight with God and fight with the good people. So it is actually our inner desires and all, what that stop our spiritual growth. Okay, so it is just challenges of the human mind. That is what one
Right. Yeah.
molecule.
Good. Very nice. Uma, want to continue, Amma? Number 13.
అమ్మ రాజస్ 13 కదండి.
Yeah, number 13.
Tamo rajas rupini. When tamas tends to rajas, the souls continue to attain progressive evolution until they eventually become endowed with sattva and thus hasten to liberation. Rupini అంటే ఏమండి?
Of that form. Tamas Rajas Rupini. Rupa of that form.
Okay. Yeah, this everybody knows that tamas leads to rajas and rajas leads to sattva, and then they will get the liberation at that stage of the life.
Want to read number 14?
Sure. Tamasi. Tamas overpowered by tamas. Those who are deeply involved in the realm of tamas, they continue to incarnate through millions of years. It is doubtful whether they will attain liberation in the next million years or not. So, O Rama, just as waves proceed from the ocean, sparks from blazing fire, or rays from the moon, in the same way the jiva proceed from Brahman. These living beings continue to wander through numerous worlds, passing through numerous embodiments, driven by the will of Brahma, the creator.
Comment?
With this tamas with the tamas, they have to go through a lot of generation, maybe millions of years. And then they have to pass through so many worlds and so many life.
Yeah.
But with the Brahma, the creator.
Yeah. From Brahman, the creator, all these jivas have proceeded. How they came, that's the question we don't know. So then we say it is eternal. And because just like the seed and the tree example, where the seed came first, the tree came first. We can never answer. Same way, we don't know how the jivas started. That's why we say it is eternal cycle. But the jivas can get liberated, though the cycle of creation and dissolution continues. So,
Chicken or the egg too.
right. So number 14 is all looks like number 5. Number 5. I don't know if we will be able to categorize people based on this number 14. Only thing that I can say is we can say 3 or 4 categories. Those who are pure sattva and completely dispassionate, they attain liberation in this life. But just like in the 6th chapter Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, those who are sattva but not completely dispassionate yet, they go through several lives before they attain liberation. And those who are rajasic, more and more, and tamasic, they continue to be born longer and longer and longer. And so everything depends upon their evolution. So many factors being involved. Very good. So, Veena Amma, you want to continue with the next chapter, Amma, 19?
Raghuji, I have a question.
If I can answer.
Yeah, Raghuji, there are in 10 and 14, it says that it's doubtful whether they will ever attain liberation. So these are the 10 and 14 and 6 also it says doubtful. But these two, it clearly says you have to go through thousands and then millions of years to attain liberation. So, but liberation is eventually happens, no, Raghuji, for every jiva?
See, that's what is my understanding. According to Advaita philosophy, all the jivas eventually attain liberation. But in this category, when you say, like in number 6, he says, after death, they go to heaven and hell, they continue to wander without attaining liberation, it says.
Mm-hmm.
And so, is it that they go through millions of years, millions of lives, and so it looks as though that they never attain liberation? Or are they jivas that they never attain liberation, they just keep going up and down? That I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it makes a difference to us, but it is categorized like that. But for us, being more sattvic and being interested in the scriptures and developing dispassion, so hopefully it will be only 10 or 15 or less than 100 lives before we attain. And even that, we have to keep putting our effort, because there's always a chance of falling. And so that's why they say, you don't know what will happen in the next life, so put all your effort to attain liberation in this life itself. And so if you do that, naturally, even if you don't attain liberation, my feeling is that you will have attained to such a purity state that you have to be born in a very sattvic family in your next life, and you will continue to grow. You will be pulled up spontaneously without any effort, because you have reached that kind of a pure state. So,
Raghuji, in the other book, does it have any examples of like idam paramatma, prathamatma? So any examples of that and
no examples, Amma. All of them are the same way. They are given 1 or 2 slokas, and no examples were given in that.
And I think basically after talking about the power of mind, we are talking about the different classes indirectly to say that you have the power of the mind to jump from one to another based on, your combination of the three gunas.
Yeah, correct. Your mind is tinged by the three gunas.
Mm.
And so that will determine your how you live. Correct.
Raghuji, this is actually something related to that Dakshinayana and Uttarayana. I'm hearing that. Is there any
Dakshinayana, Uttarayana is for the jivas who don't attain liberation. Okay. But it has nothing to do with the Dakshinayana or Uttarayana, that they are just symbolic in the sense that the deities that preside over the Dakshinayana and Uttarayana, they are the ones who lead those jivas to the particular lokas.
Oh, okay.
But it has nothing to do with the particular time of death. Like
No, I'm not talking about that. I say that, some people actually who actually realized or close to realization will be all in Uttarayana. Then the people actually, people actually too much tamasic characters actually will, after that it will be in the Uttara. I don't know whether it's Uttarayana or Uttar. That's the difference between Uttara and Dakshina.
I don't know. I didn't understand what you're saying.
No, see, when you are actually realized or close to realization, or even actually if you have got some understanding on the realization, those people will be in the Uttara Bhaga, or I don't know whether it's Uttarayana or Dakshinayana. Uttara, okay. And then the other one is, I actually heard somewhere, I couldn't really complete that.
Yeah.
So
It has nothing to do with the what do you call it, night and day, or the what do you call it,
It's a philosophical. I just want to explain something. I just want to read something since Shobana brought up the question of liberation.
Yes, go ahead.
Here it says, it's from the lecture by Sarvapriyananda. I don't know from which mantra it is, mantra 1211. I wrote it some time ago. It says, some may be born as animals or human or celestial beings, or combination of qualities of actions, kriya gunas, and qualities of the mind, atma guna. And the most important cause that connects the individual with the future body is God. He is the karmadhyaksha and karma phaladata. So the compassionate Lord, the creator of the universe, unites the individual jiva to the results of his actions. He's also the cause of our liberation, he says. And the God who unites the individual jiva with his guru to give him the inspiration for his inward journey. I thought that was a beautiful commentary that connects with God's creation and liberation.
Right. Good. Very good. Thank you. Okay. Who is supposed to read next? Veena-ji, you want to continue?
Yes. Hari Om, Raghuji. Section 95, the unity of Chitta and action. Sri Vashishta continued, a flower and its fragrance both arise from a tree at the same time. In the same way, in the beginning of creation, karma, action, and karta, the performer of action, arose simultaneously from Brahma, just as the flower and its fragrance are coexistent realities. So too are actions and the performer of action coexistent. This coexistence is maintained by Maya, cosmic illusion. When the veil of illusion is removed, there is neither action nor the performer of action. You want me to continue?
Yeah, in the next two paragraphs, go ahead, Amma.
For a sage who is established in intuitional vision, nothing has arisen from Brahman. The world of names and forms does not exist. Brahma alone is in the three periods of time. For those who are caught in illusion, Brahma becomes the basis of the rising innumerable souls. just as new shoots arise on a tree in the spring, or these souls continue to arise from Brahman, having arisen, they dissolve in Brahman. So what I understand that in the beginning, when the creation was created, the karta and the action was created together, just like flower and the fragrance. And it was all covered by the illusion, the Maya, the cosmic illusion. But the sage who is established in intuitional vision, I understand that who is enlightened, for him there is no Brahman, there is no world. But the ones who we are in illusion, who are not enlightened, for us Brahman is there for everything. From him the world takes place, and then when the pralaya comes, everything dissolves in Brahman.
Yeah. For the person who is enlightened, Brahman alone is. It's not that Brahman is not there. Brahman alone is. There's nothing other than Brahman. But for the person who is caught in illusion, for him, it is just a, oh, the world alone is. There is no Brahman for him. Why?
But
All
it
the
says
jivas.
that it dissolves in Brahman. So for them, Brahman is also there. And they're springing like shoots. The souls are continuing to arise from Brahman. So for them, Brahman is also there.
Brahman is there, but for that jiva doesn't know. Jiva thinks, oh, I am being born and I am born and die. Nowhere in that paragraph says the jiva knows that there is Brahman. For those who are caught in illusion, Brahman becomes the basis for the rising innumerable souls. So they are just caught in it, and they think that this is all their life is. That's my understanding. Okay, Vijay, you want to continue? Next three paragraphs?
Raghuji, where does it start? If you don't mind, I'm sorry.
Page
Just got a
80,
call, so.
page 60, the last paragraph. The souls continue to wander.
Got it. So the souls continue to wander in various embodiment on basis of vasana.
Continue.
Subtle desires. It is ignorance that gives rise to vasanas and thus causes the wandering of the souls through the world process. Forgetfulness of one's own essential nature weaves the illusion of the repeated cycle of birth and death, and the revelation of one's essential nature puts an end to this world process. Sri Rama asked, the Vedas, Upanishads, and other works are written by sages, such as Puranas and Smritis, are called the scriptures. Those who have an abundance of sattva, purity, and are established in self-realization are called the sages. On the basis of the scriptures as well as the teaching of the sages, it is clear that action and actor depend upon each other. Just as the seed gives rise to a tree, the tree gives rise to the seed. No action maintains the actor.
Not no.
Sorry, so action maintains the actor. And without the actor, there could be no action. If this is so, then why should we not consider karma as the cause of all embodiment? And if karma is cause and not Brahman, then how can the birth of souls be considered illusory?
You can see beautifully the questions of Lord Rama. So,
yeah, this is exactly what he's talking about is the karma is not. So if it is goes back to what Bhagavad Gita says, you do karma and do it focused on Brahman and karma is not attached, or all these realize people like Tapon Maharaj or Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and all, whatever the actions they do, don't attach to the karma. I think same lines of questions he's asking here. Hari Om.
Yeah. So if without the karta, there's no karma. Without the karma, there's no karta. Because if I don't do any action, if I'm identified with Brahman, for me, I'm not a karta. So though the body continues to act, that I am identified with Brahman, so I am not the karta. I become the witness. That then I become the Brahman. Then I have no more births because I'm not identified with the body anymore. So if I'm identified with the body and the mind, then I become the karta, and then naturally I have to become the bhokta. So. Okay, Vishwanathan is not here, Akhilamma not here.
Raghuji, can I ask you something, please?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Okay, it says on the basis of the scriptures as well as the teachings of the sages, it is clear that action and actor depends on each other. Could you please explain to me a little bit this?
I don't know how more to explain. What is the doubt, Amma?
I mean, he's saying this. It depends. How the action is depends on actor.
Yeah, because how can there any action happen without me, the actor?
Oh, okay, in that way. Okay.
Okay, so action cannot happen spontaneously. What do you call the table cannot move by itself. I have to move the table. So then I become the karta, and the movement becomes the karma.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, and Anjaneyulu here today? No. Okay, Nuligaru not here, Dinesh not here, Karpagam not here, Manoma.
Dinesh is here.
Oh, Sharmagaru is here. Okay, we'll continue, Dinesh.
Says Vashishta said, your question is indeed praiseworthy. It is the expansion of the mind that has brought about the illusion of karmas. No action can bring about fruits without being associated with the mind. In the beginning, the mind arose from Brahman, then from the mind there ensued karmas. In fact, actions are nothing but vibrations in the mind. The body, which appears to be the basis of every action, is in itself a materialized form of the mind. Since the body is mental in nature, all actions depending upon the body are also mental. Actions performed by the mind must give rise to their results. One cannot escape the fruits of karma, no matter where he may go. There is not a place, a mountain, a portion of the vast sky, a depth of the ocean, or a distant world where karma does not bring about its fruits.
Want to comment?
Yeah, the comment here is the person, only time a person will perform an action if there is a direction from the mind. I mean, people won't say anything without getting guidance from the mind. Otherwise, if a person doesn't have a mind, then it's really dead.
Right.
So so mind is kind of is the director, in the sense that mind basically forces the person to perform an action. In one of the talks, Swami Tajivananda had mentioned mind is pretty volatile, and a lot of time mind will sway a person to perform things that they cannot be proud of, or things that are considered tamasic or totally rajasic in nature. The only way a person can overcome that if they can pause and use their intellect or inner voice or their conscious, and sometime that really helps a lot. I personally think a lot of time there are all kinds of thoughts coming in the mind and prompting a person to do the action, but if we listen to the inner voice, I think it helps a lot, and I think that's where the meditation is.
Yeah.
Hariom.
Yeah, you got it perfectly right. That's what exactly I think in the last class we read, that even with the negative vasanas, by intense concentration, one can convert into positive vasanas and positive action and direct himself further. And so, though our prarabdha is there and the previous tendencies are there, but with individual self-effort, with purity and single-pointedness, one can attain liberation. So that's why you see so many examples of various great souls from their bad previous lives, they attain to liberation. They become sattvic people. So it's always the mind. It has to start with the mind. From the mind, it goes to the speech, and from speech to the action. And so all of them are together, one after the other. And so it has to start with the mind. And the even how do we get the mind? I'm sorry, how do we get this body? It is because of the mind, which is nothing but the jiva. Because of the tendencies that it has, it projected the body, and so it assumed this body. And so through the body, the mind continues to do actions. Okay, after Dinesh, who else is Karpagam here today?
Yes.
Yes, I am here.
Oh, Karpagam, go ahead and read them.
Since this is the case, an aspirant's efforts to attain self-realization can never be fruitless. When he attains enlightenment, his mind is destroyed. Then follows the cessation of all karmas. For those who are not enlightened, mind and action continue to exist and to depend upon each other. The cessation of either of these two brings about the cessation of both. Section 96.
Let us discuss this one before we go to the next one.
Okay. So once you destroy your mind, the karmas can follow. I guess that's what it says. When you do karma, you do it without
attachment.
Give it to, like as a service to Lord or something like that, not self, for your own self things.
Right, for karma yoga, not karma.
Karma, yeah.
And then the attitude of karma sannyasa, that I am not the doer, that the body, mind, and the are doing the action. So I am not the karma enjoyer of the karma palas. So, but for those who are not enlightened, mind and action continue to exist, and so the results come, and then the cycle continues. But the cessation of either of these, the karmas become the karma, what you call yoga, or you become the karma sannyasi. That, hey, though the body is doing all the actions, I am not the doer. So, either of these will stop the cycle. So, anybody want to add a comment?
Raghuji, just looking through what is written in this thing, here the question was that, is this so? Why should not karma be the cause of all embodiments? And if karma is the cause and it's not Brahman, then how can births of souls be considered illusory? And the way they start the explanation is that karmas are due to the mind, like Gita ji explained last class. And then it says, the mind is nothing but, body, and the body is the materialized form of mind. So that's how he's connecting the karmas to the mind, and through the mind he's connecting to Brahman as the cause for all the creation.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Though it's kind of lost, because in the last two paragraphs he goes from there to self-realization and enlightenment. It's kind of nicely explained before.
Yeah.
No, it is there. It says to destroy the, you see, because mind is related to the result, and by cessation of it, so then mind is actually came out of Brahman. Then that is why it is actually illusory. So that is.
Yeah.
That's really a good definition of that one last 2-3 paragraph. Really of that, why it is an illusion. We all, I actually always contemplate how this is all actions are, how we can actually define as illusion. This is definitely it's a good, paragraph to, mananam. We had to do a mananam really on it, so then we will realize that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we all experience that when we are in state of deep sleep, there is no mind, there's no experience of anything. Same way, when you get into the state of deep meditation of samadhi, when there is no meditator or the meditation, that is nirvikala samadhi, the whole world stops. So that is the destruction of the mind. And then that way, that only when I wake up, when the mind comes out, then the whole world is experienced. But when the mind stops, that means there's nothing but vibrations of the pure consciousness gives this duality of the karta and the karma. Okay, and you want to read the...
So that is why I think, mind actually, we have to we have to get away from the world, because this mind is actually going to get vibration with a lot of new things to think. So we have to get away from that. So then the thought process will come down. So the vibration also will come down. So that is actually, leads to a better dhyanam, right, or meditation.
Right. That is the reason that the serious sadhakas get away into the forest life. Okay. That we as a grihasthas, we want to do both.
Yeah.
So that's why we take longer and longer. But serious sadhakas, he says enough is enough, and he walks away. Okay. Like Swami Vinayakananda Swami, that we had met once like a year ago, or early part of this year, or a year ago. Like he was telling that even after taking sannyasa, he was in Ramakrishna mission, and then he took the permission of his gurus and he went away to the Vindhya mountains, and for several years, and he meditated all alone. So even in sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you see how the meditation is supposed to be done in a serene place, free of people.
Yeah.
So if you read the life story of so many saints, it's like that. Uh, they went away and they continued to meditate. And once they reached a particular certain stage, they completely withdrew their life for it might be 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, depends. But they come to that state where, hey, there's no more going back. So.
I think in Taiwan or Thailand, this Buddhist temple has got a 50-day this thing. You can actually go and you will go with one cloth, and everything is totally cut off, and nobody will have any interaction. Kind of one practice is there. Maybe that is actually maybe new ideas to make them into vanaprastham kind of.
Yeah. That's what we are doing and studying and see how we can gradually withdraw from the society, from the grihastha to vanaprastha and vanaprastha to sannyasa, and continue to meditate. Only thing is, we get stuck with the family, the children, grandchildren, and still some political. We want to still have some knowledge of what is going on in the world, so we want to watch the TV and read news and all that. And so naturally, we got one foot here, one foot there.
Yeah,
So
that is really true.
okay, Karpagam, you want to read the next couple of paragraphs from 96?
The many names of the mind. Sri Rama continued, O sage, the mind is material, yet it has assumed consciousness. Please enlighten me regarding the nature of this mind, which expresses itself through numerous thoughts and imaginations. Sri Vashishta replied, O Rama, the mind has arisen out of the cosmic energy of the omnipotent divine self. It is basically composed of sankalpas, thoughts and desires. Because of mind, a person whose essentially pure consciousness believes that he is ignorant of the self, and though being devoid of all activity, he believes that he performs actions.
Want to comment?
Well, he's asking, about if mind is material, how it is, which expresses itself through thoughts and imagination.
Yeah.
And Vashishta is explaining that the mind is essentially thoughts and desires. And even though the self is pure consciousness, because of the mind, the self-thought, he is performing the action.
Right. Yeah.
Are you?
So all this mind is like a wave in the ocean of consciousness. And that wave is nothing but the sankalpas in the form of thoughts or desires. And because of that, that it creates the illusion of this world. But when this thoughts stop, then only I remain only as pure consciousness. Continue to think, continue to withdraw more and more and more. So, okay, Mano, want to continue?
Okay. Once the mind has woven the illusion of sankalpas and karmas, it next brings about the illusory existence of this world process. The numerous objects of the world are nothing but projections of the subtle desires of the mind. It is these subtle desires of our vasanas that sow the seeds of karma, thereby bringing about the illusory fruits of pleasure and pain. The entire karmic tree is basically mental. Whatever the mind seeks becomes the objective for the organs of action. Therefore, the mind itself is called karma. In fact, these terms are synonymous from a broad point of view. Mind, intellect, ego, chitta, karma, imagination, memory, vasanas, avidya, effort, world process, prakriti, indriya, maya, and kriya. It is the pure self that has assumed the functions of mind and exists in the form of the individual soul. Mind, intellect, and chitta are the self in their ultimate analysis. Oh boy. So, started with telling us that mind is nothing but the illusions of sankalpas and karmas. And, the mind brings about the world process. We know the objects in the world process, and they are nothing but the subtle desires of our mind. And then subtle desires or vasanas are like, they're the seeds of karma and bring about the illusory fruits and the pleasures and pain. So the karmic tree is basically mental. Whatever the mind seeks, that's what the object of the organs of action. So mind itself is called karma, and also all these words synonymous with that they are saying. And the interesting one at the end is the pure self that has assumed the function of mind and exists in the form of the individual soul, mind, and intellect, and chitta are the self in their ultimate analysis. I couldn't totally figure out what that sentence is telling.
You mean the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just telling that anything other than Brahman, everything is illusory, nothing but the mind. That's how I look at it.
Okay.
So, the world, the Prakriti, that is the world. And the Indriyas, okay, Kriya, the effort that I put in, everything is from the individual level. Everything that is duality is nothing but the mind. And
Yeah, the sentence after that, self that has assumed the function of mind and exists in the form of the individual soul.
right.
Mind, intellect, and chitta are the self in their ultimate analysis.
Yeah, it is a pure self. Here it is actually the Brahman. You have to remove that pure self with Brahman, right?
Yeah.
Brahman is actually assume the function of mind, the ultimate. Right?
Mano, isn't it just like saying that, when the pure Brahman comes in contact with the jiva, it becomes, it forgets itself. It's just like, the example that we give crystal and the color cloth.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was
Yeah.
clearly what it is. I was figuring it out. Okay.
Says here, jiva is self and non-self combined. So experiences of the mind in the jiva, Atman channelized through the mind and body. That is the subtle body. It's like a wave which drops away, but Atman will continue as the immortal ocean.
Yeah. Immortal ocean continues only when the ignorance that I am the jiva is gone, and then I become the ocean. So I'm not the wave, I am the ocean.
So here we have to understand that self, the jiva is got both self and the non-self. The non-self is the Atman.
You're right. So if you disidentify with the non-self, then you realize you are just the self. But
Yep.
being
Now it's
because
clear.
being associated with the non-self, then you think you are the jiva. And you forget that you are that Brahman or the self.
Raghuji, on the page 62, the second paragraph from the bottom. See, here it says that it says that mind has arisen out of the cosmic energy, right? Then it says that another one is, because of mind, a person who is essentially pure consciousness believe that he is ignorant. So here, this mind is actually our mind and intellect that that the BMI kind of, that MI, not the consciousness, right?
Say not the what?
Not the pure consciousness, because how, see, how pure consciousness believe, pure consciousness is ignorant. It cannot be a pure consciousness cannot be ignorant, right?
Right.
So, but here it says that because of mind, a person who is essentially pure consciousness believe that he is ignorant of the self.
Right. That is called the avidya.
Yeah, no,
Or at the cosmic level called a maya. So that's why in various aspects, that's why all the names that you can think of are given in that paragraph.
yeah.
Okay. Ego, the mind, the intellect, the chitta, the karma, prakriti, indriya, maya, kriya. Okay. Anything that you want to talk about like in the form of duality is nothing but that maya. But everything has come from that one pure self, the consciousness. Both
All
the
of that is
actor and the action are nothing but the Brahman.
Mm.
Only because of ignorance, then I say I am the actor and you are different from me. So,
what I was going to say is that all that mind and all the things that they have mentioned is driven by the Chidabhasa, the illuminator.
right. Yeah. The illumined by the Chidabhasa.
Yeah.
Right. And driven by the Maya or our Vasanas.
Yeah, I still have got that question is actually, I haven't really cleared that one. You know, just sorry, I'm just going to repeat the same question again, Raghuji. So I'm not clear there. So that I'm actually going to read the same sentence again. Because of mind, a person who is essentially pure consciousness believes that he is ignorant of the self. Here, that we are actually not talking about, in that particular line, we are not talking about Maya and all. And though being devoid of all activity, he believes that he performs action. How the ego actually comes into for a pure consciousness, essentially a pure consciousness.
That's why it's called Maya. This is an illusion. If it is not there, nobody will know it is there. But it is there. It's just like a snake on a rope. Okay. And so, do you see the snake? Yes, I definitely see the snake. But is there a snake there? But once you see the rope, then you don't see the snake. Same way, once you realize that you are the pure Atman, the Brahman, or the Self, then there is no more illusion of the world process or the Jiva.
Okay.
Stop thinking, you become Brahman.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, we cannot be okay. Understood, Raghuji. Thank you.
Okay. Now, Maya, you want to continue, Amma?
Hari Om. Sri Rama asked, O says, please explain the implication of these different names of the mind. Sri Vashishta replied, O Rama, the self tinged by the ignorance slips into a state wherein it twigs between two views. This is so, or this may not be so. Then it is known as a manas, conscious mind. The phenomena of swinging between these two views is called sankalpa, thought and desire blended. And mind is nothing but a bundle of sankalpas. When the self comes to decide upon one of the two views, it is referred to as a buddhi, intellect. It is with the help of buddhi that one allows the mind of settle on one decision instead of constantly swinging between two contradictory views. Intellect reasons, ascertains, analyzes, and evaluates. When the self develops identification With the limited body, it assumes the form of ahankara, egoism, which expresses in this manner, I am this body, I am this mortal individual. This egoism is the true root of all evil. I think it's explained everything very well.
Yeah.
So,
Very good.
thank
So,
you.
Sankalpa Vikalpatmika Manaha. The swinging between whether I should do this or not, whether what should I do, that is Manaha. But Nischayatmika Buddhi. By discrimination, then whether right or not, you decide, hey, I want to do this. This is the right thing. That is, and the who is the who is have the sankalpa and nischaya, that is the ego identified with the BMI, that oh, I am this body. That's also illusory. Very good. After Maya, we have Nag is not here, Rakesh is not here. Ratnama, you want to read?
Okay. When the self wanders like a child among the memories of the objects, drifting from one object to the another, it is called chitta, the unconscious. In this state, there is neither the fluctuating movement of the mind nor the decisive function of the intellect. When the self is associated with a form of vibratory motion, it considers itself the doer and then performs actions, which are nothing but vibrations in consciousness. Overpowered by ignorance, it seeks the result of action. Thus, it assumes the role of karta, the doer, as well as karma action. When the self forgets itself, ignores its innate fullness, and imagines limitation within itself, it assumes the role of kalpana, imagination. Dr. Raghu, can you please take it?
Pardon?
Can you please explain it?
Okay. So, when the self wanders as a child, that means the, the self, instead of knowing that it is the self, realizing itself and remaining, it is wavering in the unconscious world. That means in the subconscious, the mind, all these thoughts are there, but at the subconscious level. Okay. That is like the memory of the past things that it has done. That's called the chitta. That is, we don't know what was all in our memory, in our chitta. Only when you start discriminating, all these memories of your past experiences come to help you make a decision by the intellect. That's how I understand it. So in the chitta, there's quietness, but it is like a reservoir from which the mind and the intellect can tap into for knowledge. So the same thing in the second paragraph. This mind is nothing but the vibration, and so when there's vibration of the self, the pure consciousness, then that individuality develops. I am the thinker. I am the doer. I am the enjoyer. I am the performer of actions. All those things come. And why? Because of ignorance. It seeks the, and because of ignorance, they say, oh, I am the doer, so I want to enjoy the results of action. So I want to enjoy this one, so I want to do this action. All those things come. And all this happens why? Because I have forgotten my innate nature of the pure self, that because of that ignorance, that attachment to the body, mind, and intellect, the limitation within the self comes. This is called the kalpana or imagination. Imagine that I am the BMI. So the same thing going on again and again and again in rotation. So okay, Sarveshi, you want to continue and read the next 3 paragraphs, and then probably you will have to stop in the middle of the chapter for a change. we don't normally we do not stop for a change, but it might take another 20 minutes before we finish this chapter. So,
chapter. Where do I start?
She finished.
Well, when the self desires objects, irregardless of whether the objects have been experienced before or not, and continues to wander through repeated embodiments, it is called samsriti, the word process. When the self is associated with subtle desires, wherein the conscious desires and their objects have subsided, leaving behind their subtle potencies, it is termed as vasana. It is the self that has become the world process through avidya. When it regains its awareness of itself as different from the world process, it is called vidya, knowledge.
want to comment?
It's talking about how the vasana comes forth when there is a repeated experience, and the mind continues to wander through that. It's called samsriti here. That it's a new word for me. When the self is associated with the subtle desires, the desires, their objects becomes it becomes vasana. That means it's a repetition of that desire, and it becomes the vasana. And in the last paragraph, it is the self that has become the world process through avidya, ignorance. When it regains its awareness, it becomes the knowledge or the vidya.
Right. So, beautifully, Vashishta Rishi is defining each of these statements that were in the page 63 in that second paragraph, because Lord Rama asked, explain the implications of these different names. So each name Vashishta Rishi is taking and defining them. And so we'll continue and finish it in the next class. So,
okay.
Anybody want to add, comment, final words of wisdom? Okay, so we'll meet again in the next class. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaः, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Om, everybody.
Hari Om. So who is
Hari
going to do
Om,
the summary in the
everybody.
next class? Ratna Sarvesh ji, you want to do the summary, sir? Sarvesh ji left.
You have to send him an email.
Okay, I'll send him an email. Okay, very good.
Hari
Thank
Om,
you all. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.